Hello, what is up, ladies, gentlemen, germs, germettes, and everybody else in this world who's decided to click on my videos, probably for the sake of having something in the background. Now, this is going to be a very interesting little number, and it's something that's definitely going to be expanded upon over time, and possibly more will come of it. Who knows? This little number is called Conference of the Round. Now, it's very simple. Me and a couple of others who are either casuals with anime, or B, are hardcore anime watchers, like a certain idiot with two thumbs. I figured I'd bring along someone who, if you watch my channel, you probably know him, or you came from him originally before clicking on me. Give it up for my homie, the one and only Smab, the Sunday Scrub Lord.
I'm dead inside.
So pretty normal for him. uh, Jokes aside, this is something we're going to be doing, and it's something we're even thinking about maybe even someday adding more people onto over time. We haven't really decided yet. And these videos are going to be titled Conference of the Round. Now, Conference of the Round is all about giving shout outs to anime and other stuff in the future. When it comes down to it, though, this is all about giving a shout out. Not to say that some anime is better, but just to give a shout out, like give it props. Now, it doesn't matter what anime it is, it doesn't matter as long as it fits a category. Now, this category is something that's pretty flexible, and for now, the one we're using is a little on the stringent side just because it's the first pilot, viewing. In the future, we're going to add more and expand and turn it into something more and use categories that are less limiting. And we're going to do so intentionally as we go. Granted, the whole entire format will change as we go as well. So, since this is my harebrained idea, it only seems right that I'm the one who starts this off. So, I decided I'm going to go with an anime that I kind of didn't expect it to be as good as it wound up being. It is called Horimiya. Now, Horimiya is, how best to put it? It is a romance. But unlike many, many other romances, instead of trying to do this will they, won't they thing, they decided to go with the most realistic romance they could possibly choose. Romance that is born from learning about a person's personality, things that either they're hiding from other people or some such. It's something that's kind of endearing because that's a large chunk of how real romances do kind of wind up popping off. You start learning about someone, and as you do, you start wanting to know more and more about them, taking more and more of an interest in them, building that relationship from there. Now, my buddy's got quite the good one.
Oh, I'm sorry. My being dead inside made me forget that my first one is Where the Listen to Me. I'm pretty much shouting out this I just want to say first off, its genre is slice of life. Love that kind of genre. And I watched the first episode, and normally shows don't hook me from episode 1. I usually let it go for about 3. But Wave Listen to Me is about a girl who has a job as a waitress, gets fired because the day before she got drunk, talked with a guy. That guy recorded said conversation and then put it on a radio station. The place where she was working was, well, they listened to that radio station. She then heard herself on the radio, which leads her to getting fired. She then runs her ass over to that radio station. We can almost get her beating the ass of the guy that recorded her, but instead, she ends up on the radio. Her first actual time getting her own little radio gig is a treat, because it's how they open the show. She's reading a bunch of letters in the wilderness while she's about to be attacked by a bear. But she's not actually getting attacked by a bear because she's actually in a cubicle reading all this off while other people are making the noises that she's reacting to. The series itself is, for the sake of a better term, it's pretty much all comedy, but comedy in a way that seems more real. And I love how they handle the story as a whole. At one point with her radio, she even manages to save a guy's life. A guy that she actually hates the guts of, by the way. I thought it was great. And if you got the time, I suggest you listen or watch Wave Listen to Me.
Ditto. Love that. Now, this anime was recommended by someone who sadly couldn't be here, uh, both for work reasons, but also just it just didn't line up right. None of it lined up right. Uh, and he recommended Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid to get a shout out. Now the reason why is because of the unlikely relationships and how they kind of, in a way, they both add to the comedy, but at the same time they add this kind of almost adorable, kind of just, I guess the word is homely feeling. I guess not homely. It's almost like relatable. Tons of people have those families that just don't make sense and kind of don't seem like they should mesh right, but when they actually do start to interact, you realize how much it works. Once you see those interactions is where you start to truly notice the connections. Now, my next anime I'm going to shout out for me is one that someone did not sell as hard as he should have.
What can I say? I don't sell anime.
He needs to work on that. This is an anime that I expected to hate going in. I expected it to be terrible, and I expected it to insult and disrespect the very core it's trying to use. Boy, was I stupid and wrong. That anime is Skate the Infinite, or Infinity. I always manage to mess it up a little bit. I just call
It
it Skate for
is the
short, so.
Infinity.
Infinity, my bad. Now, the thing is, Skate is an anime that, like I said, I expected to be an insult to skateboarding as a whole. Instead, it was something that was both kind of faithful to real life skateboarding, but also have this kind of unique kind of bro moments. And it managed to intertwine the story of two bros who are just one who used to be a snowboarder and one who's obsessed with skateboarding, who are all kind of gunning for kind of a similar goal. And it knows how to play off of this kind of bond really well, and at the same time be a little cheap, yes, but for the most part, play off of it really solid. Now, in a sense, these are kind of like honorable mentions you can think of, or stuff that we're still giving a shout out to, but we weren't sure if they necessarily should be the highest on those listings. My homie's
Basically,
gonna
these
talk
are
about
the
Love of the
things
World.
that did not come to our mind directly.
Basically, yeah. Ready, buddy?
One such thing is Yashahime. That is Yashahime Half Princess, I think it's called. I
Half
don't
demon
remember the name
princess.
exactly.
Half demon princess, dude.
Half Yashahime Half Demon Princesses. Thank you.
Yeah, I got you.
For those who don't know, the Yashahime anime series is born from an older one. Let me bring you back to, I want to say, mid to early 2000s with a show called Inuyasha about a half demon, a jewel, a perverted monk, a demon slayer, and a girl out of her time who also has a little fox. They fight Naraku, the great big bad evil of that
But don't
series.
do too big of spoilers, okay? Just in case.
Oh, please. This what is Conference around except spoilers?
Fair enough. Go at it. But at least they were warned.
They they defeat. No, actually, yeah, we should do a preface. They defeat the great evil Naraku. At least I think they do. I never actually got through the final part.
They did.
And each character has their own kids. This leads us into Yashahime, where we see Inuyasha and Kagome's kid and Shishomaru's twin daughters. These three make up our half demon princesses.
Before anyone
And
starts, yes, we do meet that Shishomaru,
yes,
as
the
hard as it is to
Shishomaru that
believe.
infamously is I don't like humans. Humans suck. Only Rin is a nice person. Turns out Rin gives birth to his kids when she's old enough. Grooming anyone?
Hey, hey, hey. It's technically not grooming. Technically, because it's a show and not real life. It's just, it's just awkward writing. Is all it is.
It depends how you look at it.
True. The moment it's real people involved, then it's grooming.
And Shishomaru's two kids, they get separated. One goes to the present, one stays in the past. Well, I should say gets shunted to the future, one stays in their present. And over time, eventually the one that got shunted to the future makes it her way back to the present, and a whole bunch of different things ensue. Now, I don't remember most of the characters' names. The only thing I remember is that one of the half princesses has a pearl in a clam. And there's this thing called the Rouge, where when she applies it, she gets her full demon powers, and she calls herself Beniyasha, a destroyer of lands. Great name. It's a shame this power up only lasts a minute. But better than that is how they portray uh what's the no. Oh god, Moroku's demon buddy. I forget his
Oh,
name now.
um, the little, uh, like mosquito thing.
But no, the Tanuki
Oh, the
that
Tanuki.
Moroku flies around with and gets help from. But essentially, he ends up having a kid.
I don't remember his name anymore, but it still kind of baffles me that he gets a kid.
And this kid, for some reason, I assume the father died because Moroku ends up taking care of the kid. Moroku eventually cannot take care of the kid and gives the kid over to a bounty boardsman. Basically, the guy who's like, you go to your bounties for. And this kid then takes, oh, right. Inuyasha and Kagome's kid is called Moroha. Yes, that's the name. Moroha. The kid and Moroha, like, basically, whenever she needs to go someplace far away, the kid takes Moroha wherever she needs to go. And a lot of hijinks ensue, a lot of demons get killed, and the biggest development, Moroku's not a pervert anymore.
Yeah.
But you know what ain't perverted? I'm a spider, so what?
Yeah. Time for that one. Time for that OP little sucker.
I'm a spider, so what is an isekai? For those who don't know, it is, oh no, I have been killed. Do you know about reincarnation? Yes, no, if no, basically new body.
Yeah.
And in this case, new world too.
Eh.
This person and their entire class, including the teacher, get reincarnated.
Yeah.
However, two of them are reincarnated as monsters. Gamin?
Yeah, it's quite the unique little aspect. It goes and it decides the two people that get reincarnated as monsters, one of them is the bully, while the other is kind of the bully's victim. Now, granted, I'm sure there's a little bit more they're going to say or kind of show. I haven't gotten entirely caught up. I think I'm like an episode behind now. Uh, but I kind of find this unique kind of aspect. This kind of like the bully and victim are kind of both kind of brought back as monsters. So granted, if I was given a choice, I don't think I'd want to come back as either monster that they've been brought back as. Maybe that's a me thing. And Earth Dragon is the one that the bully gets brought back as, and the bully also kind of gets this kind of easier life, even, which kind of blows my mind a bit. The bully's kind of, in a sense, I guess you could call a pet. I guess. I mean, obviously, because they both have the human past and they both remember it, they don't exactly treat each other like pet and master or anything like that, or pet and owner, which kind of creates this unique little dynamic. But then you have the victim who's kind of off stranded by themselves for the most part, kind of having to struggle, fight, and claw every single tiniest second to just survive, much less get out. And it kind of creates this kind of questions that start to bound off in your head. Why only these two brought back as monsters? And does that mean that another theory that's being hinted at based off of the way of the opening and the way things are being portrayed, there might be even yet another student who has a bit bigger, more monstrous, possibly evil role, possibly. Granted, there's no way to know that until we're farther along, from my knowledge, but it's kind of
But
interesting the way
but
things are
before we
unfolding.
get further than that, you mentioned OP as in overpowered.
Yes.
Now, some of you may think, well, maybe it's the dragon that's overpowered. Well, that's easily subverted by the spider being the one that's overpowered.
So
But it does
busted.
not start, but the spider does not start overpowered.
No. Well,
The spider has a hard time surviving in like the first episode ish.
yeah.
And she is attacked by her siblings. She ends up killing them and getting a title that is called Heretic or something, I believe.
No, Kin Eater.
Kin Eater, which allows her to acquire heretic magic.
See.
That's it.
And also give her the
And
perk
she
taboo.
taboo, yes. And with these two perks, she eventually learns how to use a lot of heretic magic, and she ends up getting more skills. It plays out like a video game where you'd level up, you get your limbs back if they're broken, you'd get more powerful. And her goal is to get to the top and get out. This takes, I think, about 11 or 13 episodes. For those of you who do not already know, this show is a slow burn
Very slow
because
burn.
it is put between the spider, who is now OP as fuck, killing dragons, and from what it seems like, eventually her mother, her spider mother.
Yeah.
But
Who's like a
before we talk,
towering creature, might I add.
before we talk more about the spider, how about we talk about the other classmates, such
Boy,
as the teacher,
I could write
Gamin?
paragraphs on what I don't know involving that teacher. And when it comes to the students, I can write paragraphs on how stupid they are. Impressive. For all the wrong reasons.
But would you like to state some of them?
Oh, where do I begin? I'll start off with the one that confuses me the most. The teacher. That teacher, there is an F ton more to her than what's actually being brought up, obviously. Like, one of the students was like going mad with power and thinking, I run this whole world. This whole world is for me. Tight levels of going mad. Like, I'm pretty sure Pelagius from Skyrim starts to look like Einstein meets the most functional person ever.
And then she's
Yikes.
just like, admin, edit, no skills.
Yeah, deletes all of it. Which raises the question, wait, does she have some involvement in all this? Or does she have some knowledge of why they're here, how they got here, and she's just not telling them? And if
By the
so,
way, we should
why?
also mention the teacher is an elf. So she's
Yeah.
been around in this world for a few hundred years compared to everyone else.
She's been kind of just waiting around for people to show up. Which also then once again brings up, is this a bit of a setup from the teacher trying to drag them all the way to where she thinks she can kind of control everything?
But she can't get everyone, as a
Hmm.
few of them are already dead, or they're in the demon lands reincarnated as demons.
Hmm. And the show also, I don't know if this is spoiler or not because it hasn't actually done anything involving it yet. It's kind of just something you have to assume based off of the look of the character, the opening, and kind of the subtext as you watch. I'm kind of left with the hint that maybe even one of the students might actually be the current demon lord, or at least one of the demon lords. Based off of the way she acts, it's kind of more hinted at that some stuff's gone down that's bad involving some of the students. Now, granted, she's already admitted that two of them are dead, but the thing is, you kind of get the subtle hint that that's not where the story ends, though. That there's more to it than what she's admitting aloud.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I would definitely give I'm a Spider So What a watch, be it sub or dub. And
Uh,
we should have prefaced this at the beginning.
oh yeah, yeah.
All of these shows that we have watched are in dub.
They're all dubbed, but there's also another thing to preface here is that Smab is I'm gonna genuinely call a dub watcher. He watches
I
primarily dub.
am.
Now, the guy who recommended to us Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is a hardcore
He's a
sub
subber.
watcher. Me, however, I'm the neutral ground. I'm one of the people, one of the what I like to call true fans, as I jokingly call it.
If only he could be here today.
If only, but sadly, between work and just the awkward schedule of me having to bounce out of town for 5 days, it's just not the way it went down. When it comes down
But
to it,
you
though,
know what doesn't bounce unless you want it to? The boobs that you can find in Jobless
let me
Reincarnation.
finish off first.
Damn it!
Okay, you were just like a couple moments off. I'm the middle ground. I love anime in general, so I watch both sub and dub with the giant cartoonish smile on my face. Now the boobs. Now boob show.
Uh,
Basically, the hidden dungeon only I can enter in case that wasn't obvious enough when we brought up boobs. Uh, I'll have you. Do you want me to start on this one, or do you want to?
we literally just said two different anime titles.
Oh yeah, no. Jobless Reincarnation is next. My bad.
So, just like how we're both jobless, we've sadly not reincarnated yet, but hopefully this show can get the job done. Jobless Reincarnation.
Hey, I have a job. I'm a walking joke.
Like
I
I
take my
said,
job
Jobless
seriously.
Reincarnation.
Jobless Reincarnation is another isekai, but with less of the weird twist and more of some twists that kind of just work. Now, Jobless Reincarnation is your typical isekai. Dude dies, dude gets brought back to life in a new world. Has powers, magic, all this other crap. Here's the trick, though. The person who gets brought back is your typical hardcore shut-in, jerking to hentai and stuff like that. Basically, kind of a loser. Or at least, no more or less of a loser than I guess I
Basically,
am.
what the world would think of as your average neat or otaku.
Yeah. Uh,
For those of the English speaking viewers that don't understand that, basically, me and Gamin.
hi. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. Basically, he's me, but with an extra couple 100 pounds of fluff.
Until he reincarnates.
Until he reincarnates. Then he's like, what? 90 pounds what?
So
Because he's a little kid now?
he's reincarnated into the body like straight through birth. Baby's born, so is he.
Mm.
He learns language fairly quick. He learns magic even quicker. The thing about magic in this world is you are supposed to say
Incantation.
incantations.
Ugh. Gross.
and they can arrange themselves from
Please don't do one. I'll pay you not to do one. Please don't.
West Waterfall, or by the power of the flame demon of Salamancy, I call the burning flames of Fireball. He doesn't need any of that.
I really.
Picks it up like boop.
I believe I did ask you not to do them, right? Because of how cringy they are, right?
I think I did the cringiness justice.
I. The problem is, yes, you did, and I want to cringe inside now, very badly. I have to fight the urge for me to curl up into a ball and cringe to death.
And while he's learning all this magic, they all well, I should say his parents are also one of the best mages and swordsmen the world's known. They're very good adventurers, and when they find out, they make him learn the sword and more magic. But because of certain things, he needs a tutor for the magic that he's currently learning, which is not the magic that the mother knows. So they get a demon woman to come by, teach him some magic. And through their bonding, he ends up getting a quote unquote holy relic. Gamin?
Yeah, you had to leave this to the pervert, didn't you? Probably a good choice. So basically, uh, one day after the training was done, and I think she was distracted by something or other. I don't really remember. He decided to jack the tutor's panties. Don't you worry though, he's kept them laundered and safe when he's not wearing them on his head or sniffing them.
Not to and she found out and she just says, "This can be your holy relic." uh and after he's been taught and she ends up leaving, which they do end up corresponding, he meets a fellow user of well, I should say a friend who wants to learn magic. An elf teaches this friend some magic. They hang out a lot. They get a growing friendship. They love hanging out with each other.
There is the possibility
And
of a crush
brings
to
the
develop.
friend home. And quiet, we'll get to that. Brings the friend home. They're about to take a bath. Friend doesn't want to disrobe. He then forces it and finds out said friend is Whammon. Gamin.
I'm sorry, I was cringing. My turn?
Gamin.
Oh, I'll take that as a yes. That part's really painful for me. Sorry, cringing so much. So basically, after he discovers that, oh, you're a girl. Of course, like anyone with half a ounce of humanity, decency, or something positive, feels kind of like an ass afterwards. He asks his pops for advice. Bad decision. As a result, he kind of just gets told just to apologize and just kind of be honest and direct. That works. That's how I got my girlfriend, so I know for a fact these kinds of things, just being honest, works. Surprisingly. So basically, he winds up kind of just going and apologizing to her, and
Things do work out.
somehow it works out. Man,
But
I undervalued
his
honesty as a kid.
but his life doesn't stay all nice and quiet
Hell no.
because every night his mother and his father do the nasty. The one thing we have not said is that through all of this, they have had a maid who was taking care of our jobless reincarnation since he came into this world. She has not had actual relief for many years.
She hasn't
This
had
eventually leads,
sex.
if you would not mind, which eventually leads her to seducing the kid's father. She ends up pregnant. And when the mother finds out, It's cold outside. It's winter. She would not survive, nor would the baby. So the kid with a 30-plus-year-old's brain thinks, I'm going to put all the blame on dad. Gamin.
This kid's fucking brilliant. There's no better way to. That is a 10 brain move. Okay? That is brilliance. Because that is what real life taught him is that this chick's going to die. Her baby's going to die if nothing's done. And technically, he is to blame. He's the one who gave into her seduction techniques so easily, so willingly. Like, when you see the show, it doesn't even show him trying to resist the urge to walk into her room at all. He just does it with no effort. And this is something I feel like is kind of funny. The other adults aren't sure of how to handle the situation, obviously, because they're on the receiving end of it. The reason why this 30-year-old, sorry, technically 30 above year old brained kid is able to do this because technically, if you're being honest, he's not receiving these kinds of things personally. Think about it.
Also, he's old enough to understand.
You got to remember something. This is not just a kid, no matter how much he looks like a kid. This is someone who's 30 and up who is often going through tons of different situations, tons of different crap, who had to experience some of the negative stuff of the world. Now, did he experience the worst the world has to offer? We don't know. We have no way to know. All we do know is he experienced enough darkness already to be able to counter for this situation as it rose. And in a way that just everyone benefits. Granted, yeah, during training the very pretty much the next day, his dad goes a little too hard on him because of it all. But as much as he's going a little too hard on him, even his dad
It
realizes
is
that the kid
rightly
handled it
deserved,
right.
considering how bad he put his father in the hole.
I mean, if you really think about it, even though his dad is going rough on him during that training, he makes sense why he's doing it because he kind of just got put under the bus. But you also got to remember one other thing. Even the dad, as he's doing it, realizes that technically that was the right way to handle it. That the kid did an adult way of handling it. It's why as it goes on, you start to see the dad putting a bit more responsibility on his kid's head. Is because he's realizing he can handle it. He has the mental faculty for that responsibility, in spite of his
And
age.
to go along with responsibility, eventually he learns magic so well, and he's taught his friend magic so well that he actually needs to go to a school to learn more.
Mm-hmm.
This leads him to saying, I also want to bring my friend to this school. They say, we can't afford it. You want to know how you can afford it? Get a job. What is that job going to be? Magic consultant for a noble. Gaiman has a lot of things he would like to say about this specific noble.
I'll warn you, none of the things I say about this noble are even remotely pleasant or positive. Half of it's because I don't like tsunderes that much typically, but I really hate tsunderes who are flawed. They're not cute at all. They're just kind of abusive. Even though
Basically
the
a
irony is they're
bitch.
dicks. Yeah. Uh, basically, I'm gonna talk about the more likable member of the noble line in that group actually first. Uh, the main character's uncle that he didn't know he had. Don't we all have those uncles we just didn't know? Oh, just me and the MC. Noted. When it comes down to it, the uncle kind of welcomes the kid in, and he kind of like surprisingly just is warm, fuzzy. And then you meet his little shitbag daughter,
Mm.
who's abusive, violent, ill-tempered, short-tempered on top of that. And yeah, she's slowly starting to get better, but the problem is you're starting from zero and having to work your way back up. Which kind of makes this a very slow burn until she finally becomes,
Mm.
tolerable.
And how that happens is The kid goes to the girl's father and says, "There's something that needs to be done. I think a fake kidnapping might work." And what ends up happening is an actual kidnapping ends up happening. And they are saved by the muscly, the buxom, the beautifully beastie, a Ghislaine.
Basically, sexual harassment lawsuit in a bikini.
I like her.
Let's just say ditto.
Now,
How many chicks do you know can either A, kill a person or be wicked hot in bed?
the reason we bring up Ghislaine is
Uh,
because of her dedication to protecting the kids and her just dedication in general. When the little girl was in a much better mood and the Jolly Reincarnation's birthday came by, she wanted to make a cake for him, wanted to do a special birthday party for him. He needed to be kept occupied. Whose job was that? Ghislaine.
I don't remember.
Now,
I don't think I watched this
this
episode.
kid now and then, he makes statues out of stone with his magic, but he needs to know their anatomy. And just to keep the kid there long enough, the kid asks, "I don't know how to do tails because I don't know the anatomy. Can I see your ass?" Gamin?
I haven't watched this episode, so I can't say too much. Uh,
Damn. Essentially,
I can't believe it
she
worked.
she pulls down halfway. You see the big, muscly, boulderly, supple ass that is her cheeks and her tail. And what should happen? One of the maids, one of the servants, the help, whatever you wish to call them, opens the door and she drops everything and we do a cutaway. Fucking perfection.
I still can't believe it
They end
worked. I can't
they
believe it
end up
worked.
having the birthday party, and after the birthday party, a few days pass and she learns some really good magic from him, and he wishes to show her his most powerful. And things go haywire. They end up in a teleport. They don't know what happens to Ghislaine. They end up in demon country, and I am not going to tell you anything more because you need to watch it yourself.
Yeah, hope.
Because it's legitimate spoilers for gaming.
Yeah, it's literally legitimate spoilers for me, and this is one of the shows where you can spoil the one that comes after this to your heart's content. This one, I might hunt you down if you spoil it for me, because I intend to, because I'm gonna be stuck up out of town for a bit. I'm hoping to watch it if I can get any service, hopefully.
You know what? I can't spoil it for you because we're pretty much at the exact same episode. The hidden dungeon only I could enter.
This show, man. This show.
This show, a fucking pervert's best dream.
Here, hold it. Just shut it and hold it for a second, okay? Before you make an
That should tell you
accusation like
everything you want to
that,
know.
realize that I actually like a little bit smarter writing than this. Typically, like I can deal with stupid dumb fun, but when you try to be smart, I expect you to be able to do said smartness well, and that's something this show just can't. It's still a
But
riot, but not because of
that
its smartness.
we enjoy it. The premise of this show is there is this kid that I'm just gonna forsake the sake of everything, just call the hero. The hero has this ability. Everyone else, like, they have an ability. His ability is called the Great Sage, which lets him get whatever knowledge he wants, but he suffers from the worst migraine in history.
Kind of like what the
How
showcase
does he
game has.
solve this, Gaiman?
I'm gonna
How
first
does he
warn you,
solve his
I'm not
headache?
joking. This is actually how he solves it. One of his friends decides to bring up a story about how a kiss can solve it. So they decide to smack lips together and make out. Yeah. Granted, she's kind of been into him for a long time. Him, I'm not even gonna try to pretend to acknowledge that he has feelings other than pervy. Granted, he doesn't start out as a perv, but boy, sweet dear mother of all that's holy, does he become perverse. So much so that even I'm a little embarrassed. Alright? That level.
Now, the reason why he used Great Sage to learn a specific thing is because his friend that he just snogged had told him of a way to permanently deal with the effects. And that is to find a. No, no. He got a map from somebody. He got a map from somebody. He asked the question as to where he could find the thing on this map. Then he got the headache. Then he got the snog. He went to where the Great Sage told him to go, and he said the words, "The hidden dungeon. I wish to enter the hidden dungeon only I can enter," or something to that degree. He
Second
goes
one, he nailed it.
in here and he finds a girl who cannot open her mouth and is chained on all four parts of her body.
Look, I like some
Would you
light
like to know
BDSM, but
why? I think Gamin can tell you why.
sure. Gaming will tell you about this butt pull. I mean, BDSM play. I mean, character. So
I
basically,
mean, Master.
yeah. Sure. Master. When it comes down to it, this character used to be a badass, high grade, premium level, god tier adventurer. Like, oh my god. Er. But as she went into this dungeon, the same one that they're both, in, uh, I think she fell for a trap, or was it ran into an enemy who outsmarted her? I don't remember which. To be honest, I'm not really sure the show even remembers which or cares which either. But basically, he went into this dungeon so where he can gain power, not because of a map. He wanted power, so that this way he could basically, by some BS standard, be allowed to be with this chick in a way. Granted,
Now to
not in the way she
gain
wants.
now to gain said power, the legendary adventurer that I'm referring to as the Master, how he gets this is the Master gives him a skill. I forget exactly what it's called. I think it's just called
Create.
create. Yes, create.
Createy,
It
technically.
requires life points. The first thing he does with the life points that he currently has is to get rid of the headache effect caused by Great Sage.
But it was costing too much,
Now,
so he just made it so it's weakened.
yeah, and he asked the Master, "How do I get more LP?" Gammon.
And that's when hell, hand baskets, and grenades, and tactical nukes start going off in the background and all around us, sadly. He starts being informed that in order to gain LP, he has to basically indulge in debauchery and hedonism in the fullest, most extreme ways possible. The
Basically, live as
more,
Gammon does.
hey! Yeah, but hey! Even I have some restraints. I don't hook up with random chicks, obviously.
Restraints, but no respect.
Basically, yeah. So, basically, the more and more he indulges, the more LP he's going to gain and have. Granted, you also need to remember that the show has one key kind of issue is that there's no real balancing for how much LP costs on things. Things that should seem like they're like, okay, 5 LP for that, are actually like 100, couple hundred, 1,000, crazy numbers. And he basically uses this to try and solve all of his problems. whether it be in combat, situational, or so and so.
Now, one of these skills that he gets actually gets him in more trouble
So much
than
more.
it's worth. That skill is Lucky Letcher. Would you like to tell the people what Lucky Letcher does?
Basically, if you're standing somewhere, there'll be 5,000 panties dropping and skirts being flipped up. No, not always in that order, and no, not always separate timing.
Now, this gets him a buttload of LP, but it causes so much chaos in his life that he has to turn it into not so Lucky Letcher,
He
which
just has to,
costed more than half of the amount that would have been required to create it in the first place.
to be technical, he doesn't get rid of it. Don't think that that's what he means. He just means that he just toned it down. It's basically like taking a slider, taking it from 100% and turning it to like 10 or 5, I think is what he put it at, roughly. So it's still there. It's just very, very diluted. So this way it's not causing anywhere near as much chaos and problems.
But for those who want just
Ugh.
a show that's just
Dumb fun.
funny with its moments and just dumb fun,
Then it's
well,
definitely
you can
worth
watch
checking
Hidden
out.
Dungeon Only I Can Enter.
Do
But
not get your hopes up on its smarter moments where it tries to have smart
yes.
writing because it's not good.
But for those who come here who are like, okay, you've told me about these shows, but what would you rate them? Because that's what I want to know. Well, how about we do that now?
Why not?
We'll start from top and go to bottom.
Fair enough. For me, Horimiya is a very easy 10 out of 10. Mostly because of how relatable and kind of applicable it was to real life. While at the same time being a nice, comfortable little awe session. What about you, good sir?
Uh, Wave, listen to me. I'm a fan of these kinds of slice of life with a bit of comedy. It's so nice just to see a regular person in a regular life just going through and not have, say, angels and demons pop by and you fall in love with them instead. Instead, it's just a regular life with something unexpected. And I like it enough to give it a 6 out of 10.
Now, the reason why he didn't chime in with Horimiya is because he actually hasn't watched it. I did watch Wave Listen to Me, and it's funny that he gives it such a low score compared to the score I give it, which is very easily a 10 out of 10 for me. Now,
Well, that would due to the fact that I am more of a slice of life connoisseur.
mm, I watch lots of pretty much everything, so. But, anyways, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Now, initially, I was giving it high score when I first watched it. I did drop it a couple points for small stuff, nothing huge really, and not enough to drop it to 5 or 6, but definitely enough to drop it from like 9 to an 8 for me. I'm pretty sure the other guy who watches the show, the one who recommended it initially,
You'd give it a solid 10 out of 10.
yeah, he would.
Legendary edition.
Yeah. By the way, did he tell you that now he's the lolly police now?
I actually made him that. Believe it or
Yeah,
not.
yeah. I also backed it, which is he's not. He's still wondering what kind of chaos this is, and if I'm abusing power.
But sadly, and well, for those of you who want my opinion on the review score for Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, I cannot give one. Again, did not watch it. I'm not interested in it.
Yeah, he's not a big fan of lollies. Understandable. Understandable, sir.
But I can reprimand that after you give your score for Skate.
For Skate, for me, it is very easily a 9 out of 10. Very easily 9 out of 10. I love the interaction between the MC and the two MCs. and I kind of like the whole. I want to say bromance, but I know that there are people who are gonna get the diluted idea that I mean in the yaoi way, when in reality, what I mean is just bros being bros, and that's it.
Now, for me, I have to dock it a point and give it a 7 out of 10 because as much as I love Skate, like one of the pro tags, or as he says, MCs, is fucking Canadian, which is what got me watching this in the first fucking place. I give it a 7 out of 10 because I seriously feel those yaoi vibes, and I don't like them, but I love the anime. 7 out of 10.
Now, mine's probably the shortest on this one, but for me, Yashihime is probably what little I've gotten to see of it. I've seen like maybe an episode or two. For me, based off of what I saw, I have to give it. I'm gonna say 8 out of 10. What little I saw of it was really interesting, and it looked like it was gonna take some of the aspects that were really intriguing and really cool with Inuyasha, as someone who's seen far too much of it. Now, what about you?
Uh, I loved Inuyasha, and I love Yashihime even more. 9 out of 10.
Well, that's it. All right,
Especially since we get to see their, like, fucking
kids.
Inuyasha and Shomuru's dad, actually. Should have mentioned that.
Yeah, that would be interesting. If he's not like the size of a skyscraper, I'm gonna be disappointed.
Be ready to be disappointed.
Aww.
But you know what's not disappointing us? I'm a spider, so what?
Yeah, I'm surprised. So what? Originally, if you had asked me to give a rating for it when it was first on the air, when I first saw it, I would have given it a very low score, like
Because you would have
4,
thought that it was ripping off the slime version.
and not even doing it well either. Not doing any of what Slime did well at first. But the thing is, though, once you push past that and you keep watching it, it does get better to a point where originally I would have said a 4. Now I'm like sitting pretty solidly on like a 7 or even an 8. Keep in mind, that is a 1 score point gap from my view of Slime. That's impressive considering it started off really dry and kind of boring at first.
Now, on my end, I've watched a great number of isekais over the last 3 years. And So I'm a Spider pulls a lot of the similar punches. Wait, did I say I'm a spider? So what?
Yeah.
Okay, for a second, my brain registered as I said slime, but it pulls a lot of the same punches as slime, but it differentiates itself enough that I want to keep watching. Everything that's happening is so interesting. I want to learn more. I want to know
What is
why
going on?
certain things are happening the way they're happening, and I keep watching, so it's a 7 of 10. I'm a little more stringent on my isekais.
And this one, I'm going to cheat a little bit. All right. I'm going to give this one higher than a 10. All right. I love this anime. It's probably one of my favorite animes to be out and about. Jobless Reincarnation for me is quite easily and almost thoughtlessly an 11 out of 10 watch for me.
You
I
hear
laughed.
that first? It's a perv lord seal of approval.
Yeah. When it comes down to it, this got the perv lord stamp. It's got the perv god stamp of approval all up, down, and around it. Like I have to worry about, do I have enough ink to keep stamping? What about you, pal?
Now, for me, and you know what I just gave, I'm a spider, so what? And that's because I'm very stringent on my isekais. This fucking show The moment I see it come out, I have to watch it. This is a legendary Sunday Scrub Lord 11 out of 10.
So it's not enough. You got the perv god stamping the ever loving crap out of it. Now you also gotta keep in mind is that even the Sunday Scrubber himself is literally stamping the crap out of it.
He's got a bunch of little stamps. I've just got one giant one.
Yeah, I'm like treating it like I got a machine gun firing off stamps.
I'm just like, time to shoot the fat man. Boom!
That's basically the way to view it.
Speaking of fat man,
Oh,
that's what he was before he reincarnated.
yeah, which makes it all the more irony. Mwah.
But on that highest of high notes, we have to sadly go to a lower note.
Now, I think he's going to be a bit more kind to this one than I am. Because I still have the image in my head of all the moments it tried to be smart and failed. For me, the hidden dungeon only I can enter is kind of just a 4 out of 10. Yeah, there are moments where it starts to try and focus more on the aspects it does well, the dumb humor. Those moments work well, but the problem is they're just not leaning into them often enough. Which then kind of gets this moment of where they try to be smart and it fails. It kind of comes across as someone who wants to pretend like they're Einstein, when in reality, they're like the second dumbest person in a dumb school for dumb people. It doesn't work. It just doesn't. Some aspects are kind of cool ideas, but when the biggest strengths are the moments where you're not trying to use your brain when it doesn't work, that kind of shows something. It kind of speaks very loud that you should stop leaning on the smart stuff if you can't even do that right. And they do that, though, too often.
Now, here's the thing. On my end, there's nothing that I can say that he did not already say, and my score is the exact same. But I can only add that this is a Scrub Lord seal of watch it when there's nothing else on.
Yeah. If you're caught up on everything else, then definitely I can see you watching it just for some dumb humor to kind of kill some time while you wait for other stuff.
But don't let that sour your mouth, especially on Conference of the Round, because next episode is my pick, and I'm not picking a genre. I'm picking a show.
Yeah.
What is that show? Peter Grill and the Philosopher's Time.
Yeah. That'll be a hoot. Stupid. Funny.
So,
weird.
This is the Sunday Scrub Lord.
Hold up before you sign out.
Damn it.
If I were y'all, be very prepared because we're going to have another something a little similar to this, but with a different genre being added in. One where we can talk even more at length because we have even more experience with that, arguably.
I would say you do.
Well, I have the most experience out of probably the world. Not that that's something to be proud of.
But I hope you are on the tip of your seats for those next 2 videos. We will see you next time.
Yeah.
Scrub Lord out.
See you, everybody. I need a nap.
Hello, Scrub Lord here. I'm the one who edited this video, and for those of you that watched it, I hope you enjoyed. If you agree or disagree, please feel free to leave comments in the comments section telling us why we're idiots or why you agree with us, or hell, maybe even something for us to possibly watch. Who knows? You might even get us to review it. Without further ado, hope you've enjoyed.